How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Secrets to Silent Success. Today we have the one and only Cam Jackson. How you doing this afternoon, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed. I can't complain at all.
Cool. So we'll jump right into it. That's cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. So I know you had a family of entrepreneurs, right? You talk about your grandfather with the barbershop, some other family members who had businesses and entrepreneurial endeavors. Tell me a little bit about what you learned from them and what was your mindset around getting into entrepreneurship?
What I learned from them was like freedom. I saw that my grandparents always had the freedom to really like do anything I wanted. And I really like that, right?
Yeah.
So on one side of it, my grandpa owned the barbershop and a bunch of clubs.
Okay.
So and it was in Louisiana. So when I would go to Louisiana, I would go to this barbershop. I'd see him just like having the freedom, like always giving me money. So I was like, man, he got to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But like I was a young kid. So like I'm thinking, okay, he gives me, $20 to go to like Burger King and this and that. So I'm thinking he's rich. I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, I got to have this. And then on the other side, my other grandpa, he's more of on the kind of like the car side, messing with cars and also with horses, cows, like huge in that side of it. And I remember like he used to gift me animals for birthdays and Christmases, like horses and cows. And I was like, man, this guy to be rich too. So like I saw both sides of it. And it really just showed me, okay, freedom. And then also like being able to manage your own lifestyle in a way. And that's kind of what I saw between them. And I was like, okay, at the time, I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was. Like, I was just like, I thought everyone did this. Like, I didn't know, I either knew I wanted to do what my grandparents did, or I wanted to be go professional in sports. And I just like really was trying to figure that out. And seeing it firsthand and now looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, like I was looking at this entirely my whole childhood and I didn't even know it. So I'd say that probably.
Yeah. Was there any point where you compare and contrast, okay, this is the life that my grandparents had, that freedom, and then maybe you've seen, maybe it was a family friend or just a friend in high school, college, when they're in that rat race or that 9-to-5 race? Was there any point in time where it was that light bulb moment, like, oh, I need to go do that?
Yeah, I would say probably in college it really hit me because at this point I had my first like rental property. And it wasn't even a house yet. It was this piece of property my grandpa gave me, and there was a snowball stand on it. And I saw that I didn't have to do anything, and I was getting money. At the time I was in college, it was $300 a month. So I'm thinking, I'm like, I need this. I'm like, this is perfect. And then I saw some of my friends that played football, they'd leave and they'd come back for like homecoming. And then they were like, man, like I did everything I was supposed to do. I came, got my degree, I graduated, and now I got this job. And they're just like hating life. Like not like hating life, but they're just like not happy with what they're doing. And so I would see that side of it, and then I was like, man, like, okay, so I wasn't really going to go to the NFL. I was like, okay, I need to figure out what to do. And I was like, I'd rather not do something I don't like than try to figure out how I can do something I do like. And so I just started to kind of like move some pieces around and try to like fill it out. But I always knew like I wanted to, everyone says be your own boss, but essentially it's just like I wanted the freedom to do what I was going to do. And so I was really just trying to figure out how I can make that happen.
Gotcha.
That's what I saw.
One of the things that you talked about was the inheritance from your grandfather. You were a young man, still a young man, right?
Yeah.
What was your thought process when you're getting this inheritance to be able to leverage it as a stepping stone to do better and not just go and potentially blow it or sell the land or, lack of a better word, just go buy drip or whatever, right? Like you were like, okay, let me leverage this. But where did that even come from to be able to use it as a stepping stone?
It's honestly crazy how it happened because, like I said, he gave me the land and I'm getting to have this little snowball stand on. It's giving me $300 a month. And at the time I'm in college, I'm like, I need this money. And so the guy actually stopped paying me.
Okay.
And so he stopped paying. My grandpa, like I said, he had a lot going on. So from time to time, he could be late on payments. And my grandpa really wasn't pressing. And they were friends. You know how that happens. And so he wasn't paying me from time to time. And I was like pressing him. I was like, yo, like, where's my rent at? Like, I need this.
Yeah.
And so once that basically all transpired, where I had to evict him and that whole process, I was like, okay, now I need to figure out how to get people on this property to give me more money. And so I went to Jamaica and I just randomly was up there and I was talking to my parents, and my dad actually had the idea. He's like, we should try to use shipping containers. And I was like, well, I have some land in Louisiana. I was like, let's try it there, basically is what it was. And I just tried to figure out a way to basically build something to where I can get revenue. That was like my main thing. I was like, I need to put something on this to where people move into this and they give me money every single month. And that's just kind of how I found my way of it.
And I was going to say, did that whole mindset start from, I want the freedom? Because again, I don't know how old you were at the time, but maybe 19, 20 at the time. I don't know if 19, 20-year-olds are thinking, hey, let me evict them and let me get more people on here to make more money, to make more passive income. I didn't even know what passive income was when I'm 19 or 20, right?
This is around like 20, this is like 23. It's like 23. And you're right. I wasn't even like, not even like just thinking about the freedom. I was just like, I want some money. I was like, I want money. Like, that's like when I first jumped into it. I was like, how can I make some money off this property? And the biggest blessing was honestly him giving me the property, because when you don't have that overhead, that kills businesses. And like you said, COVID, like how you said you started in COVID. So that was like around the time where things really started kicking up and I was really making it happen. And it went from before COVID, everyone was like, it's too hot in Louisiana, nobody's going to want to be outside, to, you know, COVID hits and now everyone wants to be outside, and now it's like the thing we're to be at. And so it just, that's kind of how it started. It wasn't like me like really wanting past. I just wanted to make some money. I was just like eager to make some money, and made a lot of mistakes on the way, in the sense of just like paying for the wrong things, you know, spending too much money on the project. I wasn't blowing the money on, like we would say, drip, but I definitely was losing a lot of money with the inexperience and this being just like so anxious to get something going that I wouldn't even think things through sometimes. And, you know, it all comes with growing pains, but like, that's like a big thing as well.
Got you. One more thing on that. You talked about just the desire to have money. Not that it's a negative desire. A lot of people almost think, hey, if you want money, it's a negative.
Yeah.
But what do you think that origin story of that root of like, hey, I do want to have a certain level of wealth to have a certain type of life? What do you think that originated from?
I think that originated from honestly watching one of my grandparents. Like, I really always have wanted like a ranch, and like I really want like animals.
Yeah.
And so I just knew like, okay, this is like, if I want to have freedom and, you know, the opportunity to get these things, that's what I want. I like animals, like, you know, horses, like horse racing. Like, I like that kind of stuff, and I want to be able to do that. So like, you got to have money to do that. And that's kind of where I saw it as. Like, I didn't really see too many things that I wanted to do, but I was like, okay, look, I want to be successful. I need to figure out how to do it, and I'm going to make money so I can buy a lot of land and do a lot of fun things on it. That's basically that's where my head was at.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you mentioned having that investment property. You talk about being 22, 23 years old. I believe the first one was under $6,000 that you got. So you've been in this real estate thing a while, even though we're still young. What are some tips and tricks for a young person to get into real estate? I know me and my business partner, we put up basically $7,500 each and was able to get a property. And people are like, I thought you needed 50, 60,000 and all this. What are some steps that people can do, young people, that can get into real estate?
The steps that I would always say are just like, okay, first of all, you need to figure out what an FHA loan is. You figure that out because you can only put 3.5% down. And you go to, I always tell people, like, everyone thinks, like you just said, $50,000, $60,000 to buy a property, but they don't understand that there's so many ways around it. You know, seller financing deals, there's different kind of things that you can create and make up to benefit you. So I would say go out and figure out how to get an FHA loan. Figure out either your mom. There's so much money in this world. I tell people, you know somebody that will give you the money to invest in real estate. You just have, if you don't have it, you know somebody that has the funds or the means to be able to help you and invest with you. So go find, for me, it was my mom, right? I started with my mom. It could be a grandma, it could be an aunt, it could be a friend's mom. Like, it could be somebody, but you have to let people know what you're doing and then start figuring out strategies to make it happen. So I would say a FHA loan basically is where you get the property, you have to stay in it for a year. And then once you stay in it for a year, you're able to rent that property out. So for me, the first property that we got, I went in with my mom, like I said, and we purchased a property. It took like a year to do all the renovations, stayed in it for a little bit, and then was able to rent it out. And then once I kind of saw that process, I was like, wow, this is easier than I ever thought it was. And I was one of those people that was like, you got to have all this money to get into real estate, but it's honestly insane. I've gotten properties for $100, and people think it's honestly crazy. But you know, it's different cities and different times, like it was Louisiana, but at the same time, there's always ways to get into the real estate game, but you just have to figure out what works for you and the strategy that you can implement, basically.
Yeah, sir. You talked a little bit about those learning lessons, right, early on. Tell me some of the big lessons that you've learned in this real estate game that you can help other people navigate around, if you can.
Honestly, it's like, I would say, getting too emotional in the real estate game is not great, right? So either you like love a property too much, or you're trying to put so much money into it, and because I've done that as well, and like letting too much emotion can get into it can kind of mess things up. You know, if you don't get a property, it can slow you down, and you know, all of that. And I think that's probably like the biggest thing. It's, for me, I made so many mistakes along the way in the sense of like not being rushing as well.
Okay.
I made mistakes where I didn't screen the tenant properly, just trying to get somebody in it. Yeah. And then they didn't screw the house up within like 3-4 months. I'm talking just tarnish it, and it's like all your hard work that you put into it is just like, you're looking at it, it's just like, damn. So not rushing, doing everything the right way, screening your tenants the right way, and making the house livable. Act like you would like to live there. You know, you got to be a good landlord at the end of the day, because a lot of times that's going to come back. That's good karma. That's going to help you out. So I would say kind of trying to navigate through those obstacles. They're definitely not rushing, and definitely and getting the right advice from the right people. There's a lot of times where there's mistakes I made in business and real estate where I was just jumping into it and not getting the right knowledge, and I could have just went and asked questions, and I would have been able to save myself a lot of money.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I know for me, it's interesting. I have clients, and you may have like this business relationship with them, but they hired you because they kind of like you, right?
Yeah.
So when you got like 3 real estate agents that are clients, I'm like, hey, Denise, I'm thinking about buying this house. You got like 10 minutes to give me some thoughts on it? Yeah. Let's look up other specs, other comps.
Exactly.
What was your process to finding those mentors or finding those trusted advisors that you could pick up the phone and actually call when you're like, oh, I don't know if I should do this or not?
Really just like, it started out with my mom. And then once I moved to Louisiana, I met a lot of people that do a lot of big things. And it was kind of like easy for me to call, I call them unks. Like everybody that's like all older than me.
Yeah. The OGs, the unks. Yeah.
Unk. I call them up unk. Like, this is what's going on. Let me know something. So it's like, it's cool to have that camaraderie. And really my mom, like, to be honest with you, my mom is like counsel because she's just so smart. Like,
Yeah.
she's been doing real estate for a long time, and she's not even a real estate agent. Like, she's in real estate. Saw her mom doing real estate, so she kind of got into it the same way. So
Yeah.
I go to her a lot of times, and then there's my unks that I met through business and through my dad.
Yeah.
And things like that. Yeah.
Got you. I wanna dive a little bit deeper about ownership in general. I know for me, coming from a single parent household, grew up in a disadvantaged neighborhood, I didn't know the word equity until I was literally 19 years old.
Wow.
So we never owned any of the apartments we lived in, cars we drove, any of those things. So you talk about having grandparents that had land. You talking about wanting land. You talking about a mom who was in real estate. What is the importance of equity, of real estate, of ownership for Black Americans?
It's huge because, and it's sad to see, right? Like, especially like Louisiana, I'm going to speak of Louisiana. It's sad to see, like, grandma's house, like grandma passes away and the family gets the house and they are so quick to just sell the land and just get the money out of it. I really think it's like the lack of education throughout it all.
Yeah.
And the earlier we can teach our community, we can teach our kids, just like the better it'll be for us, because they don't understand the benefit of just keeping the real estate. It doesn't matter what grandma's house looks like, just keep it in the family.
Go up in value.
And it'll go up. That equity is just insane, and I don't think a lot of people really. I didn't even know about it. Like, it's something that is it's not taught enough. It's like, I was just talking to my boy the other day, and like, I have nothing against school at all, but I just wish that there were like a lot more like life lessons in that, in the sense of, like, okay, like property, taxes, credit card. Like, a lot of my friends don't even know how to use credit cards.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or credit in general. Credit is
credit in
good.
general. They don't
You got to
understand.
be able to leverage your credit. Yeah.
and it's like a lot of times when you're growing up, you hear about, credit is bad, and you think that just like all the white people own land. But like the older you get, it's like you see that, like, man, there's actually like a lot of successful Black people out here really getting it in.
Yeah.
And I just wish that a lot of times, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I wish a lot of times they poured into the youth a little bit more, so we can really just start building these communities up and people realizing you can own property at whatever age you want to be.
Yeah.
And, if you get your hands on some property, what you should do. If you are interested in getting some properties, here's what you should do. So there should be a lot more initiative on that. But I think that it's just like in Black America, is like something that's just not talked about enough.
Yeah.
Because I would have sold, if I didn't have like a little bit of knowledge of how, value in properties go up,
Yep.
then I would have sold the land, right? And so he gave me the land, and my first thought was not even to sell it. I was like, regardless if I do anything with it, I'm going to keep it, because who knows, maybe a Popeyes pulls up one day and they say, hey, we want to do a 30-year lease with you. And
Or a freeway comes through eventually.
Right. Like, who knows?
Yeah,
So it's like, I want to be able to have that property and make the decision on that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a smart decision on when you want to sell it and do it. But just being greedy and just thinking you need it, it's going to grow in equity regardless. And then just go borrow some money against it.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've learned is that when you're already surviving, you have a clear vision on options. So my grandmother just passed away in February, and I inherited her home.
Wow.
And so, I'm talking to my siblings and everything. They're like, just sell the house. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So quick to say.
But again, when it's, hey, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or hey, the car note is due, $40,000 in cash seems so enticing. And I'm like, I can blow $40,000 like in 2 days with a business, right? So I feel like when you have that survival, you can have more options to look at and be like, okay, this is going to grow in equity over time. My question for you would be, when you're talking to that friend that you mentioned, or maybe you're talking to someone else in your community, you're from Louisiana, what are you saying to them when they're like, oh, I'm gonna go sell the grandparents' house. So, oh, I'm gonna go do this with my credit. Are you trying to give them a different mindset? What are you doing when you hear those type of conversations?
I really kind of talk on personal experience. I would say like personal experience. And then I would say kind of just like back it up with like education in the sense like, okay, let's say my friend gets a property and he wants to sell it. Then I would just sit down with him and just like look it up. I'll say, okay, let's see the benefits of selling it now and then possibly what it can be. You know, let's see what things are selling around the area and let's see how the value of it has grown already. So just kind of like making, but at the same time, like you said, when you're surviving, it's easier to make those decisions on, okay, let me not do it and let me not do it and let me do it. So it's like, it all depends on the personal situation. So it's more so just like giving my input and be like, I think you should, not like telling them what to do, but I was like, man, I think you should do this. This will be best for you and your family eventually. But I see your circumstance now. Maybe it's the right time to do it now. And then if that's what the case is, then I'm saying, okay, you sell it. Now let's see how we can, once you sell it, this is what you possibly should do. Yeah. Like once you sell it, we can team up on this. Let's do this, this, and this, and make this shake. So that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, don't go selling and buy liabilities.
Right. Don't go selling and buy liabilities. It's like you can go sell that, buy something else that's going to grow in more value, and then we borrow against that, and we go do it 3 more times, and it's like, let's ride.
Yeah.
Then you can buy what you want.
Then you can buy what you want. Let your assets pay for what you actually want. Yeah. It was just crazy. Taking it back to Louisiana, Millennial Park that you created. You also started some supplement and protein companies when you were in college. Just tell me a little bit about some of your entrepreneurial endeavors and the journey that you've had over the years.
Yeah, I would say probably my first like entrepreneurial thing was when I was in, I believe it was 6th grade, and I was selling like Mexican candy. I would go to like the food town and I would get it for like 15, 20 cents, and then I'd go to school and I'd sell them for like $1. And so I was in like 6th grade and I would ran up like, I remember I made like $60 one day and I was just like,
yeah, I'm gonna be rich.
Killing it. I was like, I'm gonna be rich. And that's when it started. And I actually got in trouble for that in school because you're not supposed to sell goods, obviously.
Killing your entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, killing your spirit, which they did for a while. And then once I got to college, they said that we can't take supplements because of different like things that were in like C4 and these things so we wanted to work out and take supplements.
Yeah.
Just like protein, pre-workout and things like that. And with being able to pass drug tests for the NCAA. And so I ended up coming out with basically supplements that my team could take. And it was just like a small thing. Like it wasn't anything I was trying to like do a whole brand or anything, just something that we could take. And then I made one shirt and I wore the shirt and all my friends were like, man, where the shirt at? They were like, I want the shirt. Like all my teammates like, I want the shirt. And so I ended up getting some shirts out and it just like kind of built itself. And that's when I really saw like, I would say my passion for being an entrepreneur and just like making something happen and it's getting it in front of as many eyes as possible. And then also I saw how I could kind of like influence people in a way. And so I was like, okay, they're buying into the product and the brand just because of what I've done with it. So I was like, started kind of seeing that and I got really motivated. And then that's when basically my mind started running. I was like, okay, I need to be able to continue this. And that's kind of how my entrepreneur really just started, like just constantly just doing like little things. And like when I was smaller as well, and I was like, might have been like 10 years old, my grandpa used to let me sell candy in his barbershop too. And that was nice as well to see, but just like always trying new things. I've always been like trying to, not like sell everything, but just like in the sense of like building my personal brand and then like building something and just trying to get it out as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started.
And you talk about personal brand. So you have over 100,000 followers on Instagram now. How are you leveraging that personal brand now? What are some things that you're doing to monetize, to use that brand, those following as part of your entrepreneurial journey?
Honestly, yeah, just crazy how that actually like really just started. I gained like 80,000 like 5 months. Like it was just crazy. Like just putting out just like different real estate content, different like lifestyle content, and it worked well. It really helps because this day and age, a lot of people really like, okay, if you say, hey, so-and-so does this, a lot of times we're going to go to their Facebook or going to go to their Instagram page to validate it, right? And so it helps with validation, and it also gets people to trust you because when people want to do business with you and they want to trust you. And so a lot of times if you have trust from people, then you can have a dollar from them as well. And if they really trust you and they think that you're valuable, and I think it's a way where I can show to my followers or just my people and that I do business with, like, okay, here's what I'm doing on a day-to-day, like, this is what I'm doing in the past, this is what I have done, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do. Like you're seeing it all. So it's like almost like a level of trust you build, I feel like, with your audience. And the way to monetize that is there's many different ways. Like it's a community you can build with network. Like I've met so many different people networking with social media. like that. I've had clients and customers, like people just saying, hey, I want to invest in real estate. I got this much money. What should I do? And it's like, tell them what they should do. And then they say, hey, if you want to invest in me you ever want to do that, then we can make it happen. And so they go and do that. And then they come back and they want to do it. That's happened a couple of times. But really just being able to monetize it is just like finding the way to connect those dots, whether it's networking, getting a product out to the clients to monetize it, or just funneling them through, other social media sites as well, I would say. But it's definitely a huge way to monetize it. And now I have a manager for social media. So basically I do like brand deals as well, like Chase Bank lows, different things like that, just to kind of widen the outreach and to see how far I can take it. But honestly, being able to monetize it it's been going good, but I definitely think it could be better.
Yeah. I think the key word you said in there is trust.
It's trust,
right?
yeah.
If you talk about anything, whether it's real estate, just entrepreneurial endeavors in general, whatever, trust comes before the dollar, right? Especially in today's day and age. Yeah.
Especially if you're like claiming to be, not even claiming, but saying you're doing these things, it's like people just have to see it.
Yeah.
It's like how we were talking about the podcast. Like you can listen to it, but a lot of times when people see it, their trust goes far beyond what they thought before, because it's tangible. Now it's tangible to see it. They say like, okay, he's making it happen. Because nowadays, like you said, some people have millions of dollars and doing all of these things, and they are not even on social media like that. And it's not saying they're not legit, but a lot of people, like, they want to see it. They want to be able to look you up real quick and see, okay, is this legit or not? Can I trust him with my money?
Yeah.
And then go from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is called the Secrets of Silent Success podcast. So I would ask you, Cam, what is your secret to success?
My secret to success is my willingness to never give up, to be completely honest with you. It's like I've done plenty of things and I failed, and just constantly believing in myself and not giving up, I think, is a secret to my success. And having a good support system as well, people that really encourage you and they want the best for you, I really think that helps a lot. And like people that don't have support systems, it can be hard. If you have people, naysayers around you, or people that don't see your vision or don't see it in you, then it's hard to see it in yourself sometimes. And a lot of times we have to be the person that we see it in ourselves first in order to get that out. And so I would say that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll leave it there, brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
That was perfect. I appreciate you, man.
Of course.
Absolutely.